Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pursue the Hunt Live. Super excited as we are getting into our first episode of Women in Hunting series. So we're really excited about that, and we've got two special guests with us today. We've got Lana Hamilton and Caitlyn Bellamy, and we're just going to be chatting about hunting today. We're going to be talking about maybe some of the challenges they faced and some hunting stories. So it's going to be super exciting. So welcome here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Yeah,
awesome. So
very excited.
let's introduce you to the audience. Okay, so Lana, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a photographer. I have two kids. They are 10 and 11. They'll be 11 and 12 soon. They actually both just got their core at the beginning of this year. Yeah, so they will be official. We've set them up with all their LEH already, so we're excited for that.
Awesome.
I've been with my husband since we've been 19, so it's been a long time, almost about 18, 19 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he introduced me to hunting, and so here we are now.
Awesome. And what about you, Caitlyn?
Well, I'm a personal trainer and a gym manager here in Fort St. John. I also have two kids. My son is 15 and my daughter is 9. My son is not interested in hunting at all, and that's totally fine, but my daughter will be taking her report this year as well, so she's super pumped to come hunt with me and my husband.
And which gym do you manage?
I manage Prevail Athletics.
There's your plug. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about kind of getting into hunting. So what kind of intrigued you about hunting? Like why get into it?
I actually grew up not hunting, so that's kind of interesting. So I grew up not hunting, and then I moved up to Fort St. John when I was 19, and I basically met my husband right away, and he grew up hunting. He's always been super passionate about it, and he introduced me to it, and I immediately fell in love with it just for all of the outdoor aspects.
Right.
Going quadding and camping and just kind of everything that surrounds hunting.
Right.
And yeah, I really enjoy being out.
So when you got into hunting, like before you moved to Fort St. John and met your husband, was it just not an opportunity you had, or you just had no interest in it? Like,
I think all the above. No interest. Okay. My family never had interest.
Okay.
We kind of lived in the city as well.
So you weren't like against it and then fell in love with it. You just really didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't have any knowledge about it either.
Fair
so once he kind of introduced me to hunting, he taught me all about it. And the more I learned about hunting, the more I was like, wow, this is such an awesome lifestyle to have. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize like it's not just going out and shooting animals, right? There's more to hunting than just that. And I think learning that and like learning everything that surrounds hunting, it's just, I fell in love with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn?
I actually had a completely different experience because I grew up in like a huge hunting family.
Okay.
My dad has hunted ever since I can remember. He used to wake us up before school. My mom would be going on business trips and he would load us into the truck at like 4 a.m. when we were maybe like 6 and 7. And he was off deer hunting and we were sleeping in the back seat. And he'd drop off at school and we were just zombies, me and my brother. And the teachers were like, what's wrong? We're like, my dad made us go hunting before school.
So you would go hunting before school?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. My mom didn't know about this till like a few years later. But those are like my first memories of hunting with my dad. I wasn't actually hunting, but being drug out before school.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I turned into kind of like the typical teenage girl. My brother stayed on the hunting track and was hunting with my dad. And I lost interest and wanted to go hang out with my friends and boyfriends and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I married a hunter, so I'm back in it. Yeah.
So, and then, okay, so as far as experience-wise, how long have you been hunting then?
I just started hunting. So the first couple of years that I was married to my husband, he was actually just getting into it too. He wasn't raised a hunter, but my dad got a hold of him and he was going to make him a hunter. So.
Yeah.
So he started hunting again, and then I don't know, maybe it was like the typical hunting wife thing. I was like, well, I'm not going to stay home by myself all the time. Like, I want to go too. So a couple of years after that, I went and took my core and got my pal, and away I went.
It's
Okay.
it's a great thing to do with your husband too.
Yeah, totally.
Like I think, I don't know, it's better than staying at home.
It's better than sitting at home from September till when? When does hunting season end? If you get
November
limited-
30th.
Yeah, but
pretty
then
much
you get
till
your
the
cow
LEH.
elk in February, so really
Yeah.
you're home by yourself till March.
And then
Yeah.
you've got spring bear. You know, so
Yeah.
it's almost
It's
year
way
round.
better to go
Almost year
home.
round.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
to go along than to sit at home for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So have you have you encountered any challenges? Like maybe when you initially started, like did you find it more physical maybe than you were expecting, or did you just kind of dive right
I wouldn't say that I encountered a lot of challenges beginning. I just kind of was always along for the ride.
in?
I think I've encountered challenges within certain hunts,
Mhm.
but like overall, I don't have one specific challenge that I would say, oh, I've overcome
Right.
this. But there's been a lot of like small challenges within different hunts that I've been on.
Had you shot a gun before you kind of got into the hunting?
No.
Okay, so
So I had to learn. Yeah. Like
was that
literally
maybe a bit of a challenge then?
Well, I guess. It was so long ago that I barely remember.
Do you remember anything about that experience? Like, were you super nervous, or were you holding it wrong? Where your husband was like, "No, you have to do it this way."
I'm pretty sure I remember there was a little bit of like arguing back and forth, like make sure you hold it safe, and
Mhm.
yeah.
So this is a funny story. Actually, I do need to tell this, and Carly, I apologize.
Oh no.
When I was planning on getting engaged with her, we loved to go target practicing together because she was kind of the same way. We grew up in a city, didn't have the farm life experience or anything, right? So we would always go out after work and shoot the 22 and stuff like that. And so I thought, well, why don't I incorporate this into my marriage proposal?
Oh gosh.
So like I set up this target with this bear head on it, and in the middle of the bear head I wrote, "Will you marry me?" Right? So I knew when she would look through the scope, she would see it. Of course, I did have the forethought not to load the rifle
Yeah.
when I gave it to her because I knew she was probably going to throw it or do something and not really remember that it was loaded.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, she's like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I loaded it for you. Safety's on, here you go, whatever." And so I think she kind of knew maybe it was coming at some point. She didn't know how. Like we were kind of talking about getting married and stuff. And of course, when she saw it, totally dropped the rifle on the ground.
Oh,
Was like
no.
so excited. And then the first thing I said was, "You dropped a loaded gun." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, no!" I'm like, "I'm just kidding. I didn't load it." So it was pretty
that's awesome.
pretty funny because
That
she was
is-
still kind of familiarizing herself with
Yeah.
it. So it was pretty funny. So yeah, like what about you? Did you find anything like getting into hunting or
Any
as you got into it?
challenges?
Yeah.
No, not like big challenges right off the bat. Like Lana said, there's been maybe little challenges and stuff like that. I was actually super nervous even to take my core and to go take my PAL and stuff like that. So maybe that was even a little bit of a challenge. But
Mhm.
I was lucky. I ended up taking a all women's course, so that made things a lot easier. But I remember being terrified in it, and
Yeah.
especially the gun portion when you told that story about that. Immediately, I remember in my core being like, "If you point the gun at the instructor, you fail automatically," and all of us
Yeah.
were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Don't do it. Oh, I did it. Oh no. Yeah, I could relate to that.
So maybe like just getting that over with, but I did well and I passed, so thank goodness for that. But
There you go.
and then maybe some physical challenges. I'm just coming off of my 3rd knee surgery, so I haven't had to do any big sheep hunts or anything yet, but I'm really hoping
Mhm.
that I can go and do that. So I did some hiking last year and that was a little bit challenging with my knee, but yeah, nothing that is big coming up the top of my
Well,
head.
and I've said previously too where hunting is a physical sport.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't wait for you.
No.
So it's like, oh, I'll just get in shape when I hunt. You
Yeah.
could probably pull it off,
Yeah.
but it will be very challenging, especially if you go into the backcountry.
I think though as well, when you're out there in the field and you have the heart to be out there, you push yourself like way beyond anything.
And it's enjoyable to push yourself.
Yeah, and you push yourself way beyond anything that you probably would have ever thought that you could do. Like when we went sheep hunting, my second time, I pushed myself so hard that looking back, I don't know, I'm blown away that I actually like made it to the points that we made it to, because I'm not like a gym buff or anything like that, and I'm that type of person that I'm like, okay, we're going sheep hunting in a month, like I should go hike around my field a few times with my backpack on,
Yeah,
right?
that can help. Yeah.
So, but I think like, yeah, once you're out there and you're actually like in it, I think you're like, you just push through.
Just kind of go.
Yeah.
So would you consider yourselves more of like an agricultural, like, you know, hunter or a backcountry hunter?
What do you mean by that?
Like, do you prefer the going out, tenting, being in the woods for the hunt? Or do you like coming back home and like, you know, maybe doing the fringe field hunts, you know?
I've done both. So I've gone on a couple of trips in the wall tent with my husband and stuff, and I love that. We went when it was still like fairly nice, so I can't say that I was like really roughing it. It was October and it was still pretty nice, but no, I love that. I love being in the middle of nowhere and being in the tent and being with nature and stuff. And like the day trips are great too. Like I like both of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends.
I haven't
on
done
the
any
time
huge
of
sheep
the
hunts, so I can't say that I've done like the extreme like Lana, but hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say for me, we definitely aren't agriculture hunters. Like rarely do we drive around, and we don't have permission either. Like for like fields and stuff. So we're more backcountry hunters, and I guess it depends on the season, kind of like what we do during deer season. Is cold. And when we were younger, we used to do a lot of wall tent hunting. Now that we have kids, we actually have a cargo trailer, a small cargo trailer that we've kind of turned into like our hunting shack. So it has like a small counter in there and a wood stove, and we drive the side-by-side in and take it out when we get there, and we have some fold-down beds. So we kind of really rough it in the winter, and it's super cold, but that wood stove is so nice to come back to.
But I can tell you, like,
I know that's the first time we went to the wall tent. I'm like, this is gonna be awful, and then the wood stove.
The wood
cold
stove's
kids
so nice.
is hard to hunt with if you're hunting with kids.
Cold wives are hard to hunt with.
All right, there we go. Women in hunting. Okay.
And then I don't know, even like sheep hunting too, like being stuck in a tiny tent with your husband, like that's a really cool experience as well. And then there's elk hunting, and we do a lot of camping elk hunting. We're pretty spoiled. We have a motorhome. It's an older motorhome, but we usually take that out and we camp in that while we elk hunt. So kind of depending on the season and what we're hunting. But yeah, we're definitely, I would say, like backcountry DIY hunters too. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've been given a hard time by my buddies sometimes, like, oh, why are you like taking your holiday trailer out there? I'm like,
because it's nice.
Well, because I have it and if it's insured.
Yeah.
And if I can, you know, if it's raining and you have a place to dry out,
it makes a world
because I've been out in a tent where you don't really have a place to dry out, and it sucks.
You don't have to convince us. Like you said, this is women in hunting. We're like, oh yeah, bring the holidays.
And maybe you go out for a night and spike camp it, but you know that you could come back there if the weather turns crappy. And you have a place to dry out. You have a place to cook food. Maybe if you've hauled water out with you, maybe have a quick hot shower or something.
Well, plus we usually have our kids with us too, so it's definitely nice to have a space for them to keep them dry and happy.
Well, and I mean, during this whole COVID time, I've never hunted spring bear.
No.
More than I have this year because I've had some extra time off work and stuff. But okay, so let's get into some hunting stories because I'm really excited about this. So, Caitlyn, I know we were talking about the elk hunt before we started. You're like, oh, it's pretty quick. But tell me about the elk hunt, because this was kind of like your first big animal that you harvested.
Yeah, and it was it was, and my only one to date so far. So
so the only okay.
So I had been hunting for, I think this was my 3rd year hunting, and I had gone out with, like I said, with my husband lots. We'd done our trips in the wool tent. Day trips. We did have permission to hunt some fields and stuff like that. So I'd been out quite a bit the last couple of years. So it was opening day last year, and my stepdad's like, well, let's just go for a drive. We'll go walk. He had some spots, so we're just going to go for a walk and go hike and check my cameras. And I said, okay, no problem. And of course, Caleb's like, yeah, no problem. Go with your dad. Opening day, totally fine. So he picked me up at 5 a.m. and we drove out to our spot, and we were hiking, and all of a sudden he lets out a call, and it's just all around us. All you could hear were just elk bugling back, and I was just sitting there like, this is not
the coolest.
This is not happening right now.
On the back of your neck.
Yeah, so we must have walked for probably about an hour, and he was calling some more, and he's like, you better get ready. And I was like, is this actually happening right now? Like, I've been hunting for 3 years, and
we're checking trail cams.
I thought we were just going for a walk. And he's like, get up there, get up by that tree, get ready. And all of a sudden, I just saw this 6x6 running straight at me down the hill, and that was it. Yeah, it was crazy. But
so So being it the first animal was it the first animal so you've ever
So
taken?
I mean, I've gone like chicken hunting and
Okay.
like stuff like
But
that.
big
so not,
game.
My first big game, yeah.
Okay. So what were some of the emotions running before and then after?
Well, I think it was that, I don't even, just that holy cow, right? Like, is this actually happening?
Yeah.
So complete shock, and then like,
Yeah, it happens.
do I remember how
too.
to load my gun? Like, am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
And then,
We call that bull fever.
yeah. And then running up there, and my stepdad being like, "Okay, shoot!" And I did, and then actually saying that I shot it and hit it was like the next big thing. So
Yeah.
that was pretty exciting.
So did you feel you kind of just zoned in? Or
That-
were
oh,
you
yeah.
kind of frantic? Or did you just own the situation?
No, I don't think it was frantic. I think, like, I knew what I needed to do, but it was, I think it was just, like, this moment of, like, just unbelievable that it was happening, so.
And then
It was all controlled, but it was almost kind of like it was, like, slow motion.
right.
Yeah.
And then how was it walking up to that?
Oh, I think my stepdad has some videos of me screaming because I was so excited.
We'll try to get those.
Or not. I'm going to text him. Do not give those.
Because, like everybody typically remembers their first animal.
Yeah.
So what was the first animal you harvested?
It was a white-tailed deer, and it
Okay.
was actually we were up at a spot, and it had just snowed. I don't even know how many feet overnight. Like, it was crazy, the fresh snow. And we woke up in the morning, and it was like a bluebird day, and we went
nice.
for a nice big hike up a side hill. And Ian spotted this buck, and he's like, "Lana, take it. And I got down free-handed, like on my knee, which I'm still shocked to this day that I got it. And
Zoned in.
Yeah. And then, like, not even a minute later, we spotted another buck, and so we actually double-headered, and that was like such a cool experience that I got my first buck, and he got like a buck as well, just like moments later.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool first hunting experience.
So was there kind of like this rush of emotions too that happened? You're like, okay, did that just happen? Like,
yeah, I can't really talk my way through my emotions because it was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had just gotten engaged, so 2006. So yeah, quite a few years ago.
14.
So yeah, there you go. You're good at math. So I remember just it feeling like it was just such a cool moment that there was another buck there after I got mine, and I remember like saying to Ian like, shoot it, it's legal. And he was kind of like, it's smaller than yours. I was like, I don't care. Sorry.
I don't know, like, I mean.
And I have always got to brag that I shot a bigger buck than him that year.
But he's probably shot a few deer before that.
He has.
So I think he can let you have.
Yeah. So that was a super cool, like, just so memorable because it doesn't happen to very many people.
No, especially like double headering. You mean?
Yeah.
No, it's rare.
Yeah.
For sure. And okay, well that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's talk about a little bit about your sheep hunting then, because I know you've been on a few.
Yeah, I've been on 3 sheep hunts, 2 doll sheep hunts and 1 stone.
Mm-hmm.
We had like an amazing run of luck for a few years where all of us, like me, my husband's best friend, we just all kept getting doll sheep tags.
It's not a bad situation to be in.
Yeah, no, it's not. So the first hunt we went on, it was with my husband and his best friend. We all had tags. It took us about a day and a half.
All 3 of you had tags?
All 3 of us had tags.
Wow.
We took a float plane, and that was like an amazing experience because I had never been on a small plane like that before.
Oh, okay.
So we took a float plane. It took us about a day and a half to hike in, and we just got to this like the most beautiful campsite surrounded by these ginormous mountains, sandy. There was even like a little spring right there, so we could bath in. Yeah, we had tons of spring water everywhere. But we really like took it easy. That's the point. We just glassed from that point. And the boys would go for day hikes. And I think we did run into a legal ram that hunt, but I believe Jesse missed it.
Oh.
And then we went home. Nobody got anything on that hunt. And then the second hunt, Me and Ian went on 2 years ago. Same thing, took a float plane, landed. It was, the weather was terrible.
Same spot?
Same spot.
Okay.
So we were super familiar with it. Ian, this would have been Ian's third time up there, my second. The weather was terrible. Even getting in the float plane, it rained for like 2, 3, 4 days straight. So we hiked in, because it was raining, we hiked all the way to our camp in one day. Like, we did not
Do you know
stop.
how many clicks that was?
No, I don't.
But it took you the majority of the day?
Yeah, it took us the majority of the day. We literally just didn't stop because we didn't want to stop and set up camp early because we didn't want to get everything soaking wet and then have to So we got to camp, and on this hunt, I was the only one that had a tag, and I told Ian, I said, if we go, I'm not going to hold myself back. Like, if we see a ram or if we need to go for big day hikes, like, I'm going to do it. And so the weather had finally cleared. We did a lot of tent cuddling for the first few days. The weather finally cleared, and we spotted some rams like miles and miles and miles away. And they were in these crazy black cliffs. And Ian's like, well, do you want to try to go for them? And I was like, well, they're the only rams that we see around. And that was one of the most treacherous hikes I've ever been on. Like, we were hiking over, I don't even know if buckbrush or whatever, that was this high off of the mountain, and like your feet weren't touching the ground. You just had to like,
and you just get snags.
Oh, it was crazy, the stuff that we had to hike through to get to these rams. And then we got to them, and they weren't quite legal, which was fine. It was like still such an amazing experience. And then we decided to take a different route out of there, and that we thought we could take a shortcut, and we got to this cliff, and it was like, you got to the edge of this cliff, and it was like straight down 50 feet. And I remember feeling like my anxiety was like, we can't go down there. We're gonna die if we even try, because there was a tiny little chute that you could try if you were really brave, but I was like, we're not brave enough.
Yeah.
So we had to like find this new route. There was no trails to this other lake where a float plane was picking us up. And that was another 2 days of literally bushwhacking, and I've never seen so much bear crap in my life.
Oh, that's like my worst nightmare.
Yeah,
honestly.
it was terrible. Like, so we just made sure we were super loud the whole time.
Oh.
And the one night we finally found a campsite, and it was right beside like fresh grizzly poop. And I was like, I guess we're doing this, but it's the only place that we could find a camp. And then we finally, like, we had our spot with us, so we had GPS, and we finally made it to the lake that we were getting picked up.
Yeah.
And the float plane got there finally. It was very late, and it got stuck on a sandbar.
Oh,
so then at that point, we had to wade out into this lake to get to the plane, and it was over my hips.
So
and
how many days was this into the hunt then? Like, how many
so
days were you gone?
it was about a 10-day
Yeah, so you're pretty tired
Oh,
and
we were
exhausted
by that point.
Needing a real meal.
Yeah. So that was the quote that I was going to read to you.
Yeah.
So my quote that I posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook. So I wrote, we didn't come home with a ram on our back and meat for the freezer, but we have over 50 kilometers of the treacherous BC mountains under our boots. From hiking for over 8 hours in the rain, hunkering down in the tent for 2 days to stay dry, glassing and spotting rams on the mountains far, far, far away across the valley, bushwhacking for days, blistered heels and bruised shins, cold, windy weather with lots of tent cuddling to keep warm, camping next to bear poop, wading waist deep in the lake to get to the float plane. We laughed, I cried, we learned a lot, and we made memories as a couple that can never be replaced. Oddly enough, it was fun, a crazy adventure.
You know, and those are those things, like, usually when everything goes right, you remember it, and it was a great time and stuff. But when you're faced with, like, the cliffs and the bush and the rain and the wind, the relentless wind in the mountains, there is a different level of, like, respect and memory that goes along with that, for sure. Like,
well, even for that hunt, too, I could not believe, like, how mentally strong and even physically strong I was, like, in that moment. I didn't think that, going into it, I don't think I've ever realized or thought that I would be able to be mentally and physically strong enough to do something like that. But when you're, like I said earlier, like when you're in the moment, just your heart takes over, and
You just gotta dig in.
you just gotta dig in
Yeah.
and just go for it.
So, equipment question for you.
Yeah.
Do you use hiking poles or not?
I don't love using hiking poles. I have one. I think
Why?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just not coordinated enough.
The reason I ask is because, like, I didn't used to.
Yeah.
And I started using them.
Yeah.
I felt like a freaking mountain goat. I was like, I like have 4 legs.
Yeah.
My
Like,
husband uses them all the time
well,
too.
like for me,
Yeah.
like, you know, I've had some knee issues too.
Yeah.
I can climb for however long I need to.
Yeah.
60 pounds in my pack, no problem. I can climb. But when it comes to downhill and you've got to use your legs to brake
Oh, that
Yeah.
with
makes
the
sense.
pack on,
Yeah.
my knees just don't handle it
Yeah.
as well. And I can use those poles to actually brace and use my arms and stuff. So like when I see people not using poles, I give them one.
You're like,
one
let
of mine. I'm
me
like,
teach you
"Here,
the
I
way."
need one."
Yeah.
Because it's like, why? Like, yeah, because I've seen a lot of guides and stuff go without poles too. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they're just trying to be tough or they just don't prefer
Yeah.
it, but I'm like,
I feel like I need my hands like out to like if I'm gonna
Yeah, so
grab something
I do
or
have
fall.
one, and especially when you're crossing water and stuff, it's super awesome
3
to
points
have.
of contact. Is
Yeah,
nice.
but it's I think getting used to, or like the coordination of it.
It's
and-
just kind of left, right. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Are you guys going again this year?
No, we're
No.
not. I don't know. We might go stone sheep hunting.
Yeah.
So
Something a little closer.
last year we went stone sheep hunting, and yeah, a little closer is awesome. But there are so many people up there that hunt now that come from all over the province, right? So we found that really challenging last year because we had a spot in mind that Ian had been to before, and literally on our drive up there, every stop that was a pullover
Yeah, there
had
was trucks and
had
stuff.
at least like 2 to 5 vehicles.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So it was.
Well, yeah, you gotta sometimes slipstream it, right? With people coming out, you gotta go in. Or,
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a timing thing because I mean, I've hunted up in northern BC 6 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Last year was the first year. It's DIY too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And last year was the first year me and my brother-in-law went out and we actually pulled something out. We had got a mountain goat.
Oh, nice.
But it was one of those things where it was kind of a slipstream timing where people were kind of coming out from sheep hunting because it was turning into elk season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
you know we're like, wow, this probably is a good
Yeah.
time and whatever. And we just hiked in off the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that's
hiked in like
That's what we did too.
3 miles because like the park boundary is a mile. You can't harvest a sheep, within
Yeah.
a mile or whatever. So
Yeah.
we made sure we were well past that. And then it was just kind of luck of the draw. But same thing, the mental aspect of the wind, and we had some bad weather
Yeah.
and stuff, and it was the stupid tarp flapping in the
Oh.
wind.
Oh.
Like through the night, through the day, it just wouldn't stop. And then, you know, we had a backcountry tent.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
it was barely big enough for 2 guys, and we were in that together for a full day. Thank goodness.
Tent snuggling.
For
What do you call it?
offline-
Yeah, tent snuggling. And I mean, I can do that with my husband.
Yeah,
Not my buddy.
me and my brother-in-law got to know each other really well.
Yeah.
But you know, I was like, thank goodness for I had like we both had these like solar panel phone chargers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and because we were using them for videoing and pictures too, right? Thank good, like everybody should have like a little
Yeah.
solar panel charger, anyways. But I had like Sudoku that I could play offline.
Yeah.
It like literally probably saved our relationship
hilarious.
from me like just losing my mind,
Yeah.
you know, because it was just like the wind and the rain and the weather and the closeness. It was like
Well, we went up last year, but we took our dog with us, and we've never taken him with us before. So we got him a pack, and
Mhm.
we took him with us, and it was, I don't know if it was just really dry last year or what it was, but everywhere we went, we could not find any water sources. Like there were no fresh springs, and we were shocked at how much that dog drank water, like how much water he needed.
Yeah.
So there was a few nights that we had to sacrifice not eating ourselves just to give our dog water because
Right.
you know you need your water to make your mountain house.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember the one night we're like, well, it's either give the dog
Crazy.
water or don't eat.
Yeah.
And so we gave him
Well, and
water.
like dogs can go a decent amount without the food, but the water is
Yeah.
pretty
It's
essential
super
to
important.
keep them
And the
cool.
first few days of that hunt it was really hot.
Mhm.
And then the last day the weather set in and it just was raining. We woke up to snow, and we're like, maybe we should pack it in. There's people everywhere. We're not like there's no water,
Mhm.
people everywhere. Let's go get our kids.
Yeah, right.
So we actually ditched out early and went to the hot springs. So that was a nice little
Yeah,
vacay.
we've done that.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
At the time, we should hit the hot springs, you know?
Yeah.
So your wall tent hunting stuff.
Yeah.
So were you guys kind of like in the backcountry kind of stuff too?
Yeah, we're fortunate. My husband has a riverboat, so
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
we went on the riverboat and we set up on an island. That was my first year that I think I went hunting, and we
Okay.
had set up on one of the islands on the Peace and set up the wall tent for 3 or 4 days. We didn't get anything that trip, but that was my
It's nice to
first. That was
unplug
my
though.
first experience with hunting, and it was awesome. It was a really good trip.
Yeah.
We had decent weather. We camped. We had fun.
Yeah.
We also had like some bear issues that trip though. That was maybe my only thing. But
Yeah.
have you ever heard a bear let out a distress call, like a baby bear let out a distress
No.
call? That is like the most terrifying thing.
It's
you will
very
ever-
loud.
Yeah. So we were sitting around the campfire, like my first night, my first hunting trip out, and like that's what we listened to. And I
no.
swear, I'm sure it was far away, but you have never seen 2 people run so fast in the dark trying to get back to the tent for guns.
Quick.
Yeah.
Well, and like we were up in northern BC. I was with actually Tony, and
Okay.
I actually talked about this on that episode. Is he sleeps with flipping earplugs in,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, why do you keep earplugs in? He's like, so I can't hear anything outside the tent.
Like a bear.
I'm like, oh, cool. So I guess I won't sleep, and I'll just have the gun here. Like,
Yeah.
thanks, bud. Like,
Yeah.
ignorance is bliss, I guess.
That's
Like, unless it
hilarious.
pokes his head in the tent, I guess we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, no.
you know, it's when you can hear the hooves outside the tent, that's a good thing. When
Yeah.
you hear,
We've been lucky. We've
Padded
never
feet?
run into
Yeah.
something like that.
I know.
yeah, and you know, honestly, I've been up to the northern parts of BC, well, in a different area, so altogether 7 years.
Yeah.
I've seen one grizzly,
Yeah.
and he was running away from us because he already smelled us.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like any, and he was a good 500 yards and going the other direction kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've walked on top of fresh grizzly tracks, didn't even see the grizzly. Maybe
Do you
that was a
worry
good
now
thing.
more, like because the grizzly population's growing and now you can't really hunt them here? Like, does that
that
worry you at all?
No.
Totally.
Yeah.
For
Like,
me,
I mean-
it does.
Yeah.
My thing is, like, you know, it's always an awareness, for sure. It won't prevent me from going in the backcountry.
Oh,
No.
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 But I mean, like, I usually, like, I don't ever sleep beside a loaded gun.
No.
But I have my gun beside me in the tent, should
Yeah.
something occur.
Oh, totally.
Like, if I'm tenting, like, if I'm on the holiday trailer, I don't worry about it. But, like,
No.
if I'm out spike camping,
Yeah.
solo or with a friend, yeah, I have like my protection with me
sure.
for sure. But you know, I could probably ramble on about the non-grizzly hunting, which is outrageous, anyways.
Yeah.
Probably get into that
We
when I
won't go
interview
into
some
that one.
outfitters
Yeah.
more than anything. But you know, it's unfortunate, but I'm hoping it's one of those things where science outweighs emotion, and they bring the BC Wildlife Federation and everything back into it and be
Mhm.
like, okay,
Hopefully.
actually this needs to be managed because the elk's gonna go down,
Oh,
the
for
moose
sure.
is gonna go down, the
Well,
caribou's
that's the
gonna
thing
go
is
down.
everything
Yeah.
needs to, like, it needs to be managed. That's also why we're here hunting.
Yeah,
is to
and I
help
mean grizzly was
manage.
Well, it's a way
LEH
of
draw
conservation,
anyways.
right?
It
Hunting's
wasn't
conservation.
it wasn't like people were just going out and slaughtering them. Like it was an LEH
No.
draw anyways. And I knew lots of people that got the draw went out and still didn't get one.
No, for
Exactly.
sure.
Right? And
Yeah.
so it, in my opinion, it needed to be a little bit more managed rather
Yeah.
than completely discontinued. But like I said, that's
Wasn't
A whole
hard.
nother
so
show.
let's talk future
Yeah.
plans. Let's talk this year, 2020 hunting. What do you got going on?
Well, my husband's convincing me to go on a sheep hunt, so we'll
Do it.
see.
Shit.
I know.
You will not regret it.
I know.
Yeah.
My
Even
knee
if you don't
finally
get
feels
anything.
good, so I had my last knee surgery and it's feeling good. So I think I'll be okay to go. on
Get
the
out to the
mountains.
beaten hills.
I know.
Get hiking.
I know. So
You
we're
know,
gonna
start
we're
small.
gonna go in by riverboat. So we're not gonna go in by a
Nice.
plane. But
Yeah. But if you're gonna go up to
Yeah.
the sheep,
yeah.
you're gonna have to hike it.
Oh no, for sure.
For sure.
I know. Yeah.
But
But we'll see.
all the
Yeah,
I'm
biggest
so
thing-
scared after like listening to everybody's stories. Not scared, but I
You'll
guess.
do good.
Yeah.
you know, it is daunting. Like, you know, you get
Yeah.
into those mountains and you do realize, you know, you are the guest
No, for
in
sure.
that environment, but there's something so freeing about that though too.
I love mountains
Yeah.
and
You
I
don't
love
have an
nature,
itinerary.
So, yeah.
You know, you don't have an itinerary. You wake up, you got breakfast, you look for sheep.
Yeah.
You don't find sheep. Oh well.
Yeah.
But like you get to explore places that you maybe never would have. Like it's just
It's just
Oh,
such
yeah.
gorgeous country.
you will never regret sheep hunting.
No.
Even if you don't ever shoot a sheep in your life,
No,
you will
for
sure.
never regret going out.
And
there.
we're so lucky that we can drive a few hours and there's sheep
It's in our
in
backyard.
our backyard.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what Are you got anything other big plans going on? Or is that
Nothing
kinda
big.
local stuff?
Local stuff, yeah. Well, I'll go for an elk again this year. I'm
Maybe
pretty
some
big
deer.
on only harvesting what I'll eat, and we eat mostly elk, so
You won't
Yeah.
eat deer?
I'm not a big deer eater. I
Why?
know. I don't know.
Do you hang your meat before you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of
cut
course.
rabbit?
Yeah. Like I grew up with hunters. We have like meat coolers in the garage.
Do you
built in.
either of you bow hunt?
We don't bow hunt. No. No.
Because you can also do crossbow.
Yeah.
Because like I'll be
That's
honest,
not true. Caleb has a crossbow.
like a
Yeah,
November
Ian
mule
has a
deer.
bow too,
Yeah.
but
A November
I don't
mule
know.
deer,
Yeah.
good for pepperoni and jerky.
Oh, see, yeah. I like it, but it's like I don't know. I guess I haven't tried it in a long time either.
But
Yeah,
what
my
I-
whitetail
I'm
last
so
year,
spoiled.
turned
We get an
on
elk
too.
every year, right? And it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
But see,
So-
okay, if you bow hunt,
Yes.
you can shoot a mule deer in September.
Yes.
Up here. And I will tell you what, the first time I shot a mule deer with my bow in
Mhm.
September, I don't know if there's a better meat out there. To be
Mm.
honest with you,
Yeah.
it was so tender,
Yeah.
no fat on them. Oh man,
I think it
it
just
was
depends
just
on the
I could cut it
animal.
with a spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because they're not all stinky and
But that's the
rotted
same
up
thing when
and-
people talk about moose. They're like, "Oh, moose meat's so rank and it's so gross." And like Caleb's gotten a moose almost not this year, but pretty close to every year in August when
Mhm.
it's open
Yeah.
and they're all legal. And those young moose are so good.
Those
Yeah.
immature bull
I've
moose in
fed
the
so
canola
many
fields.
people and cooked for so many people who are like, "I hate wild meat," and I'm sitting
You're
there
like-
and they come for dinner and I'm like,
Like,
"Guess
I'm not
what
going to
you're
tell them what it
eating?"
is. Yeah.
Man, what was in that lasagna? Oh, that was elk.
Right?
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like, what's kind of your plans?
Well, I think last year was it's going to be hard to top for me because I finally got an elk last year as well, my
Mhm.
first elk.
Right. Yeah.
And it was with all four of us. The whole family was there.
Super cool.
And like it was just an amazing hunt. The kids were there. We bugled an elk across the river, like right to me.
Just textbook.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like textbook. The kids recorded it all on like my phone for me.
Like
and-
video?
Yeah,
Oh,
video.
Yeah,
some
that's
of that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was this year it's gonna be hard to beat that last year, but I think I'll probably go. Well, we'll for sure go elk hunting. We go elk hunting every year, and we'll for sure go deer hunting, whitetail deer hunting. So we do that every year, and then we'll see about stone sheep.
Mhm.
I don't know.
What about goat?
I,
Like, do you buy a goat tag? So you have a goat and sheep tag with you?
did Ian buy a
Because
goat
when I go, I
last
buy
year?
both because you're
Do you
gonna
like
see
goat meat?
one.
Do you,
and you're not-
and did you eat your goat meat? Like, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and is it good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
we shot the goat on day 2 of our trip. We got up to camp, boom, stone sheep, right over the hill from camp. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Right, no
nice.
rams, but
Yeah.
like using lambs, where that was cool.
Yeah.
And then day 2, in the evening, we spotted the goat, and it's on our YouTube channel. We raced across the bowl. I actually let my brother-in-law take
Yeah.
the goat,
Yeah.
because he's from Kamloops, and I'm like, he's not gonna get
Another opportunity.
to
Yeah.
No.
have a goat. And it was off the chain. But I always buy both tags.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I buy the sheep and the goat because you're gonna see
You're gonna
see
if you're out
you
there,
see the
yeah.
goat and you're
Mhm.
not gonna have a goat tag or vice versa, so I just take 2.
Yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
just usually don't see anything. And then it's
Yeah. I actually got a moose tag this year too, so I've
okay.
never gotten a moose before, so I think that would be
Oh,
that
that would
on my
be very
radar
exciting.
too.
Yep.
And then we also were fingers crossed that we can get a bighorn Okanagan.
I put in for the
Oh.
draw too.
Yeah.
Well, because we've got plans to. I've got to go
I'm
down to
winning it this
Kamloops.
year, or my kids are. So now we have 4 people that can go into the draw.
That's lucky.
I
See,
know.
my daughter wants to be a hunter, and then that'll be good too. But my son's just, I don't think. Maybe when he's older, he'll change the
Yeah,
scene, but,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bighorn would be nice.
It's a
You
good
could still
strategy,
hunt the
man.
bighorn, but it goes down from a full to a 3/4 curl, right? So that's
Yeah,
pretty huge.
we'll see. Fingers crossed. But
Maybe we'll see you on the trail.
yeah, yeah. So no,
Quick, go!
I think it'd be cool to get a moose this year, but otherwise we'll definitely be doing elk and
Mhm.
whitetail and maybe muley too.
Cool.
Yeah, I've never gotten a mule deer. We don't do a lot of mule deer hunting.
Yeah.
I don't anyways, but
Yeah.
lots of whitetail hunting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's fingers crossed. Hopefully it's a good season.
Sweet. Well, thanks for being
Yeah,
on the
thanks for having
episode
us.
today.
Yeah, thanks.
That was really great. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, first in the Women in Hunting series. Don't forget to click the YouTube subscribe button because that would be awesome if you did, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Pursue the Hunt. All right, well, thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Your names, and I'll
Okay.
kind of point.
So
at
just
you
like
a little bit.
I've been married for, I don't know how long I've been married. Oh my god.
There's a boomer reel. Are you rolling? Yes. That's perfect. Oh, that's fantastic.